Isaac was the child given to Abraham and Sarah, a blessing granted by God in their old age. They loved him. Beloved child, precious, holy, special. He grew, and their delight grew with him. And then one day God said, "Kill him." And you notice Sarah isn't in this picture. I got to believe she's just sobbing. Abraham starts to carry out this horrible, awful, terrible sacrifice. Every fiber in our bodies ought to be screaming about right now, because everything about this is wrong. Everything about this just grates on our hearts, because little ones are precious and they're sacred and they're wonderful. And you don't harm a kid. You don't do anything like that. And we need to hold on to how that feels, because that's a legitimate, accurate, spot-on approach. We're perfectly right to think that way about a child. Hold that thought, because in the fullness of time, God sends His only begotten, beloved Son, who will pour out His life. He will be humiliated, abandoned, betrayed, beaten, bruised, broken, crucified, mocked, ridiculed, and horribly killed. I want you to think about this. He didn't do anything wrong. He's innocent. And the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God, would be offered up, a sacrifice for us. I want to give you a working definition of sacrifice. To sacrifice is to give up something. Why? Because we believe in something greater. I'll say that again. To sacrifice is to give up something because we believe in something greater. I got to believe that as Jesus on the cross, nailed to the wood, as He was looking out, He didn't just see the people in front of Him. He saw every person in all of time and all of space. And He saw us broken, wounded, sinful. He saw us on our worst days, not our best. On those days when the worst things that have come out of our mouth, the worst actions we've done, the worst thoughts that have played through our minds, He saw all of that and He said, "I will die for you because you're worth it, because I love you. Because your soul is worth more, and I will give my life for you. I will pour out my blood for you. I will give my heart, because your heart is worth saving." That Christ came and offered His life. He was innocent, no sin. He didn't do anything wrong, but He did it for us. Now, when you think about this, there's an intuitive logic. There's a lot of people I would give my life for right now. There are people in my family, people in my friendships, people in my life. And if it was a question of, if my life could save theirs, Lord, take me right now, no questions asked. And we have those people. There are people that we would gladly give our lives for. But not everyone. I got to admit, there are a lot of people I love I'd die for, but would I die for a stranger? Someone I've never met, will never know. Would I die for an enemy? Would I die for a vicious criminal? Someone who has no remorse? Jesus did. Jesus poured out His life for us on our worst days, because our souls are worth it. The sacrifice of Christ gives us a sense of the depth of His love. Because, friends, we sacrifice for what not only we believe in, but what we love. We sacrifice, which in turn shows just how big our hearts are. It's one of the ways that we can get a handle on this. I will submit that when we begin to understand the sacrifice of Jesus, we understand the love of Jesus in a whole new way. It is a transforming, powerful love. It is a transfigured love, which is the love we hear in the Gospels today. This picture, this image, this mystical vision. Jesus as he stands in the heart of heaven, dazzling white, Moses on one side, Elijah on the other. They're conversing. Everybody's amazed. It's on a mountaintop. This is revelation. This is Christ. This is the perfect person who gives his life for us. And we get to not only see the sacrifice, we get to see the one who out of love makes that sacrifice. And we see these two images together. Because let me just point out something. That story with Abraham and Isaac, it has a happy ending. God intervenes. God steps in. And Isaac is not only spared, okay, use the ram, that will be the sacrifice. In our faith, we have hope because the cross of Jesus is not the end. The intervention is he's raised from the dead. That we have a hope, we have a strength, we have a life. That Christ himself, who offered his life, poured out his blood, died for our sins, raised up, so that we can say that the love of Jesus is stronger than sin, greater than the grave, and we can anchor our hope that if Christ can touch and bless the darkest parts of life, Christ will touch our hearts if we just open them up, let him in, allow his grace, allow his strength, allow his healing to touch our hearts, and allow it to bless us and help us and strengthen us. The simple fact is that when we encounter the darkest and the most painful parts of life, we can recognize that there is one who's already been there and offered his life to help us, poured out his life to save us. We're early in Lent yet, but I'm going to just submit this. Where are our sacrifices today? What are we giving up? It shows our hearts. Where do we recognize that we are willing to put our life aside because of something else that we believe is greater? The more we pursue that, the more we learn that, the more we will discover that Christ, who's done that for us, can not only give us strength to make good sacrifices, appropriate sacrifices, but Christ will help touch and bless our lives today with his love to love those around us. That whatever we offer, whatever we give, whatever we share, is fundamentally marked and stamped with the love of Jesus, so that his love is flowing through us to touch the hearts and lives of those God has placed in our midst. It's a happy ending. There's good news. But my, oh my, what a journey to sacrifice. And most of us understand that. Most of us have made big sacrifices in different ways throughout our lives. May we take whatever we offer today and set it before the cross of Jesus, that the Lord will help touch and bless the sacrifices we make for his glory, through his grace, that we can love others as Christ loves us, and through that love grow closer to God and one another. God bless you all.